So I started watching mice on YouTube lately, and honestly, it's kind of amazing. You don't even need to have one as a pet. You can just watch the highlights of their little lives: eating, running, nesting, cleaning, fighting, mating. It's strangely entertaining. But the cleaning part that really caught my attention, they are constantly grooming themselves. Like they will use those tiny paws and their mouth to rub their face, their ears, their back over and over, sort of like cat bathing. It's not messy or random, it's very deliberate, almost rhythmic. They lick their hands first, then wipe their face in little circles, and then twist around to clean their sides and tail. Cats, though, they're different. They use those sharp, sandpapery tongues to brush and smooth every strand of fur. Mice don't really do that. They use their paws more than their tongues. And what they are actually doing is spreading these natural oils from their fur, keeping it clean, soft, and perfectly balanced. It's kind of like their own built-in skincare routine. Scientists say it's not just about hygiene, it's about comfort and about regulation. When they are stressed, they groom to calm down, and when they are relaxed, they groom because it simply feels good. So yeah, watching them, it's like seeing instinct turn into rhythm. Tiny creatures following ancient patterns of care, keeping themselves safe and somehow serene. So this YouTuber I've been watching, the one who films the daily lives of mice in those clear cages, first adopted a male mouse, and it didn't take long to realize this little guy had just hit sexual maturity. He was restless, super active, marking everything in his cage, classic signs of a male in full mating mode. And then on the screen, this caption pops up, "Fire eggs," which was hilarious, but also like kind of scientifically accurate. When male mice reach that stage, their hormones spike and they start showing off, trying to impress even when there's no female around. It's nature running on autopilot. And what's fascinating is what looks funny in a tiny YouTube video is actually a glimpse into how powerful instinct really is. Even something as small as a mouse can feel that biological drive so strongly that it literally shapes their entire day, how they eat, how they move, how they explore. When a male mouse reaches sexual maturity, its testes or reproductive glands naturally enlarge. It's the body's way of saying, "Hey, I'm ready now." Those glands produce hormones like testosterone and sperm, so as hormones level rise, the glands become more visible. It's not a health problem, it's biology doing its job. In wild mice, that change sends a signal to others, "Hey, I'm grown now, I can compete, I can mate." And it made me wonder, in the mouse's world, everything seems to circle back to instinct. Eating, moving, exploring, even the tiniest behaviors are shaped by biology, by the built-in drive to survive and reproduce. And then I started thinking, what about us, humans? We like to think we're different, that we make choices based on logic or goals or emotions. But maybe deep down, some part of what we do, how we eat, how we move, how we chase, is still shaped by that same invisible current. Not in a simple or shallow way, but in the sense that energy itself, curiosity, ambition, connection, might just be evolved forms of instinct. In mice, that drive makes them run for hours on a wheel. In humans, maybe it makes us build cities, write songs, start podcasts. Same force, just expressed in a million different ways. Kinda beautiful, isn't it? Anyway, this male mouse is officially in heat, meaning he's very sexually mature. So the YouTuber, the owner, decided to adopt a female mouse too. And if you think about it, what are mice really famous for? Yeah, endless reproduction. A female mouse can get pregnant for the first time at just 6 to 8 weeks old. The pregnancy lasts only about 19 to 21 days, less than 3 weeks. And when the babies are born, they grow fast. Within 5 to 6 weeks, they are already adults, ready to start the whole cycle again. And here's the wild part. A female mouse usually gives birth to around 5 to 12 babies at once, sometimes even more. And she can do that again just a few weeks later. So if you do the math, one tiny couple could literally turn into an entire colony in just a few months. It's kind of insane, like nature really said, let's multiply but make it cute. Imagine you're a female mouse, you're born, and after just 6 weeks you're an adult, you can have a baby now. And the moment you hit adulthood, boom, you're pregnant. 2.5 weeks later, you give birth. Bam! In just about 8.5 weeks, not even 2 months, you've become a mother of, up to 12 babies. That's insane, crazy actually. And suddenly it makes total sense why rat control in New York never works. It's like nature's exponential growth plan, but with fur. Anyway, back to this YouTuber's mice. The male and the female, watching their story unfold is oddly fascinating. Because we already know what's possible, right? In just 2 months, this tiny couple could have a dozen babies, maybe more. Nature already wrote the script for them, but the thing is, their story doesn't go that simply. It's not like they just meet and instantly fall in love. Can we even call it love when it comes to mice? Maybe not, at least not in the human sense. But still, let's have a little respect for the mouse. Let's call it love. Anyway, when the female and the male mouse met for the first time, the male just went straight for it. Full confidence, zero hesitation. Kinda like a gangsta, or that guy who's never really met a girl before, doesn't know how to be around them, but just wants to date. So without thinking about how she might feel, he's like, wanna go out? Total lack of awareness. That's exactly what this male mouse did. He approached her right away, trying to get close, showing interest, doing all the classic hey notice me behavior. But the female, she completely ignored him, like total rejection. He's trying so hard and she's just not having it. Inside the little cave, the female mouse is resting, quiet, calm, totally unbothered. Then the male walks in again, trying his luck one more time. And she immediately shoots him off like, get out of here. No hesitation, no second chances. She just pushes him away and goes right back to cleaning herself. The male stands there for a moment, kind of confused, like he cannot believe he just got rejected in his own cage. But the story doesn't end there. He doesn't give up. When the female starts digging her little cave, he joins in, digging for her, carrying bits of bedding, helping her build. Like he enthusiastically does things for her. Interesting. And she becomes dependent on him. Yeah, literally. I'm sure things will be different once they get married. And slowly she begins to trust him. She lets him stay close. They start eating together, grooming each other, and eventually they become inseparable. After that, they are always together, moving, nesting, and well, constantly mating. It's nature's version of connection, simple, instinctive, but kinda sweet. And it made me think about the human world too. How men often try to earn affection by doing things, helping, showing effort, being there. It's funny, isn't it? Even in the mouse world, love, or whatever we decide to call it, still begins with action. Not words, not promises, just small, consistent acts that slowly change how someone feels. And here is another interesting part. This YouTuber isn't just into mice, he's also into plants. So one day he planted a small cabbage inside the mouse's cage. The plan was kind of genius actually. After the mice ate all the leaves, they dig through the soil and he'd replace it with a new one. And if he repeated the cycle over and over, boom, a self-sustaining mouse garden. He thought maybe he could create an unlimited food supply for the mice, sustainable living inside a cage. I know, right? It actually sounds pretty smart. You may ask, wait, does his owner never feed them pellets? Yeah, he tries to do everything in a natural way, feeding them only food from nature like cabbage, grass, and grains. It's actually kind of beautiful, like he's building this tiny living ecosystem where mice and plants coexist. But then something unexpected happened. The mice didn't just eat the leaves, they went straight for the roots. They destroyed the entire plant, soil, stem, everything. No more cabbage, no system, just chaos. And then I remembered farmers have always fought their own version of this war against rats. They eat grains, chew roots, ruin harvests, entire seasons lost to a few hungry teeth. That's actually one of the reasons cats became so popular. They weren't just cute companions, they were natural pest control. So after watching those mice go straight for the cabbage roots, I suddenly understood it, why farmers hated rats so much. They don't just nibble the leaves, they go right for the heart of the plant, the source. It's funny how one tiny scene in a cage can explain centuries of human history with animals. And another interesting part about having a small ecosystem is mold. At first, the YouTuber tried using Timothy hay, the kind of grass that rabbits love the most. But since the ventilation inside the cage wasn't great at the beginning, mold started growing really fast. It spread through the hay and the soil, and suddenly this whole natural ecosystem started looking a little too natural. So I also realized why most people don't raise their pets in a natural habitat. They use soft bedding like wood shavings on the bottom so it doesn't grow mold, and it keeps their pets healthy. It's clean, dry, and easy to replace. Basically, it's the opposite of a little ecosystem, but it actually works. And apparently, in the world of mice, family ties don't really exist. They don't recognize siblings or parents the way we do. So yeah, they can and they do mate with their own family. It sounds shocking, but for them, it's just biology. Nature doesn't care about labels, only survival. But because I have a very human brain, I couldn't help feeling weird about it. I kept thinking, what if this little colony keeps reproducing within itself and suddenly it turns into a massive mouse family where everyone's related, like, hi, I'm your cousin husband. is so funny and ridiculous, but that's such a human reaction, right? I'm literally watching a YouTube video about mice and worrying about parents dating their kids or siblings with siblings. Meanwhile, for them, it's completely normal. No guilt, no rules. Just instinct doing what it does, just biology doing its thing. And it made me wonder, when did we stop dating our cousins? Apparently, it wasn't that long ago. In many parts of the world, cousin marriage used to be totally normal, even romantic, especially among royalty. Take the Spanish Habsburg, for example. They married within their own family for generations to keep bloodlines pure, but it didn't go well. By the time of King Charles II, the inbreeding was so extreme that it actually caused visible genetic defects, including what historians now call the Habsburg jaw. His chin stuck out, his teeth didn't align, and he struggled to chew or even speak clearly, all because too many cousins kept marrying each other. But in Asia, it's a bit different. Cousin marriage wasn't as heavily stigmatized or banned as in the West. In some regions, like parts of the Middle East, South Asia, and East Asia, it remained relatively common, especially in traditional or rural families. And someone actually asked me, does Japan allow marrying cousins? Surprisingly, yes, it's completely legal in Japan to marry your first cousin. It's not very common anymore, but it isn't stigmatized or banned by law either. Historically, it was even practical, a way to keep land, family ties, or social status close. These days, though, it's rare and usually met with mild curiosity, not scandal though. So yeah, the rules around love and family really do depend on where you're standing. And I guess over time we just decided that maybe romance should come from a different branch of the family tree. And somehow that made me realize how much our thoughts are shaped by being human. So somehow from talking about mice, we ended up talking about marrying cousins. Strange, right? But I guess talking about human culture is just as fascinating, maybe even more than mice. And then I started wondering, in history, were there actually people who married their own siblings? Because, ew, that just feels wrong. Like, there's this natural instinct in us that kind of rejects the idea altogether. But apparently it did happen. In ancient times, sibling marriage wasn't always taboo. For example, in ancient Egypt, royal families, including the famous pharaoh, often married their sisters or brothers. It was seen as a way to keep the bloodline pure and to make the royal family seem godlike and separate from ordinary people. The same thing happened with the Inca Empire in South America, and even with some Hawaiian royalty. It wasn't about love, it was about power, inheritance, and keeping everything inside the same sacred circle. Of course, over time, as societies evolved and religions spread, most cultures developed a kind of natural avoidance toward incest. Scientists even have a name for it, the Westermark effect. Basically, people who grow up close together tend to lose romantic attraction toward each other. It's biology's way of saying, hey, let's keep the gene pool healthy. So yeah, from mice to human instincts, turns out we're all just trying to figure out how to love within the limits of nature. Just by watching mice, You can easily talk for more than 20 minutes. There's just so much to say. I mean, I didn't even cover half the things I saw on the YouTube channel, and it's still fascinating. There are so many little details in the world you can observe and talk about endlessly. I'm pretty sure I could talk about endlessly. Honestly, I'm pretty sure I could talk about anything for 20 minutes, like literally anything. Maybe Diet Coke, or my cat, or even a famous painter like Picasso. Honestly, it's not about the topic, it's about the curiosity. Let's keep being curious, because curiosity, that's what makes life interesting. And honestly, it's what makes it happy. We should all be happy, right? There are so many great channels out there on YouTube, on Spotify, and I am amazed by how many there is to discover. So the fact that you somehow found my little channel and listened all the way through, that's kind of amazing too. Thanks for listening, and let's keep wondering together.